The power of perseverance. How faith strengthens us to keep going even when it seems like there's no hope. Life's journey is filled with challenges, trials, and moments that can make us feel like we're not sure we can keep going. In those times when the path seems unclear, when obstacles feel insurmountable, or when hope seems out of reach, it's faith that empowers us to keep moving forward. In this message, we're going to explore the power of perseverance and how God's strength can carry us through even the most difficult seasons. I'm here to remind you that no matter what you're facing, there is always a way through, and that way is grounded in the strength and power of faith. Faith in the face of adversity. Perseverance is not about simply enduring hardship. It's about enduring with purpose, with trust, and with an unwavering belief that God is working even when we can't see it. Sometimes we're called to keep going when we don't know what's ahead. That's where our faith becomes the fuel for our journey. Faith is more than just a belief that things will get better. It's a trust that God is with us in the process, working all things for good, even when we can't immediately see the results. We all know that life can feel like a series of tests. It could be the loss of a loved one, a job, or perhaps a relationship. Maybe it's an illness or a financial struggle. Perhaps it's just the exhaustion of fighting a battle that never seems to end. Whatever your situation may be, the truth remains the same. God hasn't forgotten you. And in those moments when perseverance feels hard to come by, we can find strength in Him. In 2 Corinthians 4 verses 8-9, Paul tells us, "We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed." This passage reminds us that even in our most trying moments, we are not defeated. God is with us, strengthening us, guiding us through. When we persevere, we tap into the power that comes from faith, a strength that goes beyond human endurance and enters the realm of divine power. God doesn't just give us the strength to make it through. He gives us the ability to grow through our struggles, to be molded into stronger, more resilient versions of ourselves. Persevering like Ruth. Let's look at an example of perseverance that stands out. Ruth. If you're familiar with her story, you know that Ruth endured one hardship after another. After losing her husband, Ruth could have walked away from her faith and her family. In a time when women depended on their husbands for security, Ruth's situation was desperate. But instead of retreating into despair, Ruth clung to hope. She stayed by the side of her mother-in-law, Naomi, and chose to trust in the God of Israel. In Ruth 1 verses 16-17, Ruth declares, "Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God." Even in her grief, she chose to move forward with purpose. Ruth could have chosen a different path. She could have gone back to her people in Moab, found another husband, and started over. But instead, she chose the path of perseverance, the path of faith. Her faith led her to a life of purpose, and God rewarded her faithfulness by bringing her to Boaz, a man of noble character. And through their union, she became the great-grandmother of King David. Ruth's story teaches us that perseverance, rooted in faith, will lead to greater things. When we choose to keep going, even when the road ahead is unclear or challenging, we open ourselves up to God's blessings. In the same way, Ruth's perseverance led her to the lineage of Jesus Christ. Your perseverance and faith will lead you to God's best for your life. The strength to persevere through pain. Another example of perseverance is the Apostle Paul. We've talked about Paul's letters before, but let's dive deeper into his experiences. Paul faced tremendous hardship in his life. He was shipwrecked, imprisoned, beaten, and abandoned by many of his companions. Yet, despite all of this, he remained steadfast in his mission to preach the gospel. He endured it all because he understood the power of perseverance through faith. In 2 Timothy 4 verse 7, Paul says, "I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith." These words are powerful because they represent a man who knew what it meant to endure, to fight through pain, and to keep going even when it felt like the odds were stacked against him. Paul's perseverance didn't come from his own strength. It came from his unshakable trust in God's promises. It was his faith that allowed him to keep moving forward, no matter the obstacle. And Paul's example is something we can draw strength from today. No matter how hard things seem, no matter how tough the fight, when we stand firm in faith, we can overcome anything. Trusting God's timing and purpose. Perseverance also involves trusting God's timing. We often think that things should happen in our time, but God's timing is always perfect. Trusting that He knows the best path for us, even when we don't understand it, is an essential part of perseverance. In Isaiah 40 verse 31, we are reminded, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." God promises to renew our strength when we place our trust in Him. But this renewal doesn't always happen when we expect it. Sometimes God allows us to go through periods of waiting, of enduring, so that He can develop something in us that we could never get without the struggle. He is working in us, preparing us for the victory that is ahead. Perhaps you're in a season where things aren't moving as quickly as you'd like. Maybe you're waiting on an answer, a breakthrough, a change. In these moments, it's vital to continue persevering, to keep trusting, and to allow God's timing to unfold in your life. Don't give up just because things aren't happening as quickly as you'd hoped. Keep going, keep trusting, and remember that God is faithful. Perseverance builds character. We may not always realize it, but the very struggles we endure are shaping us, refining us, and building our character. Romans 5 verses 3 to 4 tells us, "Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope." This passage highlights the beautiful process that occurs when we endure hardships with faith. Our suffering doesn't have to define us. It can refine us. It produces perseverance, and perseverance creates character, resilience, strength, patience, and unwavering trust in God's goodness. And when we have those things, hope arises, and with hope, we are empowered to keep moving forward, knowing that God is at work in us. We are called to be more than survivors of hardship. We are called to be victors. And through perseverance, we become stronger, more capable, and more deeply rooted in our faith. You have what it takes. When you feel like you're on the verge of giving up, I want you to remember that you have what it takes to persevere. You have God's strength inside of you. He has given you everything you need to keep going, even when the going gets tough. In Philippians 4 verse 13, Paul declares, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." Your perseverance is fueled by the strength that comes from Christ. You are not alone in this fight, and you do not have to do it on your own. God's power is available to you right now. All you need to do is trust Him, rely on His strength, and keep moving forward. Victory is ahead. Keep going. The reward of perseverance. Ultimately, perseverance leads us to rewards that are far greater than we can imagine. In Galatians 6 verse 9, we are encouraged, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." When we persevere, when we stay faithful, we will see the fruits of our labor. God will reward our persistence, and He will use us in ways we never thought possible. So, don't give up. Keep going, keep trusting, and keep persevering. The best is yet to come.